Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today, looks like we're going to work on a tile saw. So Brian, what's wrong with this thing?
I don't know. We're going to find out.
It's plugged in, so it just won't start?
Yeah, the guy that I got it from just said it won't run, and you can see it's got nothing going on. It's probably this mini breaker. They go out pretty frequently, but it was priced right, so we're going to see, tuck into it and see what we can figure out.
Sounds good. So you're saying you think it's a built-in breaker?
Yeah, it's got a resettable breaker here.
Mm-hmm.
But someone's been in here before us because that screw was missing the washer. So we'll have to see
what brand is this?
It's a Harbor Freight brand. It's Chicago, so it's just a Harbor Freight one. But I mean, it's actually a pretty decent bridge saw, and the horsepower rating on it is pretty substantial. But let's see what we can figure out on it.
So what are you testing for now?
We're just going to see. We've got the power hooked up. Obviously she's not doing anything, so we know power is not getting through. So we're going to check for continuity through this mini breaker and then through this power switch. Okay, so it's not our mini breaker.
Now, how do you know which leads to touch?
Normally they're paired on the sides, like if you stick with one side, that's one switch. It's not always fact, but 99.9% of the time. And that just seems to be pretty ubiquitous. So and what I'm finding is on this side I have continuity in the power. The switch is on, and on this side we do not. Which indicates there's our problem.
So it actually might be the switch that's the problem?
Yeah, it's definitely the switch. Because the switch should be closed internally, and on this side it's making contact, and on this side it's not. So there's our issue. And there's actually on the Staycon connectors, I can show you a really quick and easy way to test them. Using automotive fuse.
So you grabbed an automotive fuse? Like,
yeah.
What amp is that?
That's a 30.
Okay.
And they actually fit near enough that they work. And now you have a connection here. So, and the switch is on. This side has a connection. So if we plug it in, barring any other problems, it should run. And this is just a confirmation that our problem is in the switch.
So you're plugging it in now?
Yep. And be careful because it's hot.
All right, let me step back. So it's definitely in the switch, huh?
Yep.
All right.
Now all we got to do is replace the faulty switch, and we're in business.
All right. So now that we know that it's the switch, are you just going to swap it out, or what are you going to do?
Well, first I'm going to see if we can remove the switch and open it up and actually repair it. And we'll go from there. If not, then yeah, we'll just replace the switch and have a functioning tile cutting saw.
So you're just going to go ahead and take a look on the inside, see if it's repairable before you actually replace it?
Yep, and the way that these things mount is just off the front. There's a 1/2-inch bolt that it threads to. That's it.
All right. All right.
These aren't really meant to be serviced. They're meant to be a throwaway part, but sometimes you can pop them open and clean the points.
Even if you had to buy a new one, are they expensive?
No, maybe $15, something like that, I would guess.
So it's a relatively cheap repair?
Yes. There's one contact. There's the other contact. One looks very flat. Those are the actual points. So let's go ahead and clean those up and before we put them back in. This is a points file. So
you're basically just brushing off the contacts,
yep,
make sure they get a good connection.
Yep, every time they close, there's a electrical short, or arc, I should say, that happens there. So we're just knocking off any, big points that might, inhibit the connection. And now we just got to put it back together. And you can see internally, there's the contacts. And the one on the top right looks kind of rough, so we're going to try to clean that up as well.
Just putting the toggle switch back on the cover.
Get it reassembled.
Alright, we got the switch reassembled. Did you put the contacts back in the right position?
Yep, we got. Oh, look, you were asking about the pinning on this.
Mm-hmm.
And there it tells you number 3 here connects to number 4, and then this is telling you that's number 3 pin and that's number 4 pin. And on the other side, it's 1 to 2. And let's see, yeah, they're labeled 1 to 2. Yeah, it looks so far so good. Looks like we got it. Now what we gotta do is recompress those clips. We should have a working switch.
So you think the switch is working now?
Yep, just by cleaning up the contacts and
just clamping the cover back on.
yep. Take our fuse out now.
Alright. Alright, everything's plugged back in. I'm going to use the meter to test it again.
Yep, just do, before I go putting everything back together, this was the problem side here. Okay, we're good.
So the switch is working now.
Alright, it's reassembled. Now the real test.
Alright, you got the cover back on. Just reassembling.
Yeah, we're going to get her put back together. Grab a piece of tile. I can't speak to the condition of this old diamond blade, but we're going to find out what it'll do. And then, you know, maybe give it a little bath.
We're gonna test this thing out. It's all back together. Seems like it's working pretty good. So you were saying that it used to have a hose attached to it?
Yep, there's a water connection right here.
Okay.
And basically, it's one of the self-locking connectors.
Right.
And you can either A, hook it up directly to a hose, or B, hook it up to a bucket and have a small pump on it. But I'll tell you what I was told years ago, was to use the garden hose, because a lot of times what happens is people set a pump inside of here, like a small aquarium pump, and it circulates water back up through here, but it destroys the pump because it's always picking up super hard porcelain chips, so they never last very long. So if you do go the pump route, get yourself a separate 5-gallon bucket and put your hose in that and the pump into that, and use that to pump into the tray.
Okay. It just helps the pump last longer.
Yeah, but it's the only purpose that it serves is to cool the diamond blade.
Okay.
So
We're gonna give it a test now.
yeah, just because we want the, you know, for what diamond blades cost, you want to make them last as long as possible.
Ready.
2/3. All right.
All right. So did it work?
Yep, everything worked like a champ.
Did it cut the towel?
All we need to do now is give it a bath.
Perfect.
It's really dirty.
All right, we've got a working saw now, and fortunately it was just a switch. We were able to repair the switch and get it up and running again. So even if it we would have had to buy a new switch, what do you think that would have cost, Brian?
$20 max. You know, yeah, it's just a pretty simple switch. It's only rated at 15 amps. It's a single pole, double throw. And the same, I would say, same kind of cost if the breaker was bad, you know, $20 max. And those really would be the only things that would probably be worthwhile fixing on the saw, because like if it were the motor or the bearings, they would probably cost more than what the saw is worth.
So really, if it was the motor, it probably wouldn't be worth repairing?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend it. I would say it was, you know, at that point it's scrap. And you know, I think these saws new, you know, cost maybe $300. So, you know, the cost of replacing the motor on it's probably a couple hundred anyway. So at that point, I would think you're better off just, you know, replacing the whole assemblage.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next video.